Every now and again, life tests us. Are we going to cave and do what people want us to do? Or are we going to stand our ground? Let's see whether these OPs passed or failed today on rLounge. Up first, is it a family tradition or a way to weed out the imperfections? Am I the a-hole for refusing to honor my boyfriend's family tradition? My boyfriend, Eric, 29 male, fake name, and I, 27 female, have been dating for 3 years. For context, I've met his family and they are friendly. We don't meet them very often because they live in my boyfriend's home country. I don't want to reveal country names either for privacy reasons, but my boyfriend and I are of different nationalities and we both work in my country. The conflict happened during our last visit last weekend. We have been looking up houses to move in together and engagement rings. While we were having dinner, we mentioned this to his family as it's a big step in our relationship for us. We are not engaged yet. His parents and brothers expressed their happiness for us. Then out of nowhere, his youngest sister-in-law asked, "So is she going to take the test?" I asked, "What test?" In summary, boyfriend's family has this tradition where the future mother-in-law tests future daughters-in-law to see if they are good enough for her sons. Apparently, his mother and aunts went through the same test. The tests include how clean they keep a home, how well they can cook, their manners, etc. Basically, life skills most people learn from childhood. I found it ridiculous because 1, if I'm good enough for my boyfriend, he should be the one deciding it. And 2, I don't fit in their targeted category. In his mom's words, you can't be a good stay-at-home wife and stay-at-home mom if you can't be a good homemaker, and she wants to make sure of that. To be clear, his mom and all 3 of his brothers' wives are stay-at-home moms, and although I respect their choice, I'm not quitting my career and did not under any circumstances make my boyfriend think I could compromise on that. I hate house chores, and I would rather buy homemaking gadgets and hire staff, no matter the cost, than have to do chores myself. I told my boyfriend's mom all this, and it caused an argument that eventually ruined dinner and, an extension, our visit. Boyfriend doesn't care whether I'm a working wife or a stay-at-home wife, but he thinks I should have just done the test because it's just a test. And it's not like they would reject me if I failed. He thinks it's a fun tradition that everyone was looking forward to, and I should have gone along with it anyway. My boyfriend thinks I'm an a-hole and suggested I make the post. If I really am the a-hole, I'm sure you guys will let me know. So am I? Edit. Adding this as it's been coming up. I know disclosing the country may or may not bring up some unwanted arguments. That will violate the rules here. But just for context, it's a family tradition, not a national culture. Let's see what the community thinks. Miss Trixie says, he thinks it's a fun tradition. He thinks it's a fun tradition for women marrying into the family to be judged on their skills in traditional, old-fashioned, gender-conforming roles. Fine, let him take the test. He can rotate the tires, change the oil, and maybe rework the transmission on a car. Install a new muffler while he's at it. Then he can perform a series of tests of lifting heavy objects. How are his plumbing skills? He's going to need to know how to fix a leaky faucet. Your father and brothers and male friends can judge him on his manliness and decide if he is prepared to be a proper husband. You might also need to prove he makes enough money to support you for when you have to stay at home and perform all those wifely duties. What an obnoxious family. Not the a-hole. Concretism chimes in, exactly, I had a similar thought. I love traditions, let's start new ones. The men in my family will drop you in the woods with no resources a few days' walk from civilization. If you make it back, the men will be at the judge's table with scorecards to judge your wounds, health, and weight of leftover hunting winnings. Hope you score above a 5. Good luck. OP, you are very not the a-hole. Lethargic Action Hero wants to say, not the a-hole. It sounds demeaning and patronizing as hell. If your boyfriend thinks you're good enough for him, you shouldn't have to prove yourself to anyone. Yikes. That's really not a great place to be during a family dinner. I think the best thing we can do is stay true to who we are. It might have been a little insensitive of him to just laugh and suggest you just take the test, OP. That could have turned into a whole thing itself. I feel like maybe he said that to try to keep the peace, but who knows? I think it would put a bad taste in anyone's mouth if people are being tested on being good enough. Hopefully your partner will support you no matter what you choose. Update. Several things have happened since my post, and I received requests for an update, so here it is. This will be my only update. I got a lot of insight from the votes and comments in my original post. and I would like to thank you all for that. I showed my boyfriend the responses and judgment on the original post. Most of you felt I was not the a-hole, and like you would guess, he was upset by this judgment. He tried to make his own post, but was the a-holed so badly he deleted it in less than an hour. Anyway, I talked to my family and told them about the test. Yesterday, they called us home for dinner and told him they would let me take his family test if they let my dad and male cousins put him through a similar test. He blew up about how ridiculous it is because it's a family tradition for his family, but for mine, it's something we came up with at random. He ended up saying it's okay if I don't do the test, but my parents and I were being childish. He let slip mid-argument that his younger sister-in-law didn't want to do the test either, but look at her, the perfect wife. He said a lot of things, but long story short, he is still supportive of whatever I want to do with my life after marriage, but his family will never think the same way. However, I was starting to see a pattern, so I asked to take a break. It was great while it lasted. It's not a fun or a cute update, but there you go. Time for me to binge watch heartbreaking movies with a giant tub of ice cream. Once again, thank you for the comments and judgment. Total Machine 7598 in the community wanted to say, so what he's trying to say is his youngest sister-in-law didn't want to take the test, but she was forced, and then was forced to be a perfect wife? It's almost like he would do the same for you. I wonder why he doesn't want to take the test. Is it because it would have as degrading nature as your test would have, or is he just embarrassed to fail? He's a piece of crap. His family is too knowing how to clean and cook isn't a wife's or woman's job. It's a life skill that everyone should know how to do. Gloomy Comfort wants to say, but for mine, it's something we came up with at random. How does he think family traditions start? The OP chimes in, right? Honestly, despite feeling sad, I think I kind of dodged a bullet. I'm sorry, OP. I feel like sometimes situations like this can make or break a couple, and it's unfortunate, but it can also be seen as positive. We know what might have been unearthed later down the road. The important thing is that you stuck to your guns. Proud of you, OP. Would you have taken the test? Let us know. Next up, jealousy over a dream vacation. Am I the a-hole for choosing to trip over babysitting my niece? I, 27 female, have been planning a long trip abroad for some time now. I worked remote, so it's easy to pick up and go, and this is my first time doing it. I was laid off recently, but since I have a lot of money saved up and the trip has already been paid for, I've decided to go for a sabbatical. For months, I have had to convince my parents, grandparents, and siblings that I'm going to safe places, that I have enough money, and that they don't need to worry. I finally had them in a good spot. I leave in about 2 weeks. Recently, though, things have changed. I normally end up taking care of my niece, 2 female, for my sister, 32 female, at least once a week. My sister goes to work 3 days a week and works 2 days from home. Her husband, 39 male, works from home but has to stay near his computer at all times since he works in customer service. On the weekends, they enjoy going out to things like hockey games, dinner, etc. I normally take care of my niece during those times. It tends to work out because they will go on Sunday and I will have my Friday and Saturday nights. But with this trip, of course, I will not be able to babysit. My sister was joking about this one day, and recently my parents have been asking a lot about my trip and what about my niece. I was confused and asked them to elaborate. Apparently, 2 years old is an important time in a child's life, and they said she wouldn't remember me when I got home. They want me to shorten my non-refundable trip and come home earlier so I don't miss out on any milestones. I told them that I couldn't, and that was final. Now they have been amping up the guilt. They have also gotten my grandparents involved. The only support I have is my brother, 30 male, who also never sees my niece except for special occasions. They're also bringing up my recent layoff and my financial state. I don't want to brag, but for a 27-year-old, I have a high enough savings account that I could live for a year and never work. I've been laid off a lot, so savings was a priority. I can still travel and do everything I want. I have no loans, no current apartment now, and have all the big things paid for. But despite my knowing I'm fine, they are starting to scare me and guilt trip me into staying. Tonight, it all blew over. My sister called me an a-hole in front of my family since I won't be able to babysit. What is she supposed to do on the weekends? I yelled at her and told her to, finally, hire a babysitter. My parents are on her side and told me that you should help out more. I yelled at all of them that it was not my responsibility to parent the child. They could live for a few weeks without their free babysitter. I then left. My brother texted me later, but they are still angry and disagree with my choice to continue my trip. Am I the a-hole for choosing my trip over my niece? Edit. A lot of people have asked. I will be gone for just under 4 months. I will be traveling around Europe with a short trip to visit a friend in South Korea and coming home. I suppose that will be more than just a few weeks, but not the point. Let's see what the community thinks. 8Ken93 says, not the a-hole. You didn't birth the child. You simply extended your helping hand toward your sister who has absolutely abused the goodwill of your babysitting. Go low contact and get on the plane. I'm sure there's a few milestones you'll miss, but if your family wants you to see those milestones, maybe they should take pictures, FaceTime you, you know? Don't feel guilty and don't stay. Otherwise, you'll regret not taking your trip, and your sister should be looking after her own kid on the weekend, or maybe your parents should be if everyone is so concerned with babysitting. Enjoy your trip. Judgmental T says, not the a-hole, not your kid. Sounds like plenty of other people around to babysit, so they should do it. Or, heaven forbid your sister and husband don't go out one weekend. We didn't have family nearby and we didn't get much time out when our kids were young, and we are fine. They can suck it up for a few weeks. Again, not your kid. I wouldn't even babysit for them again when you get back unless you are paid. You should conveniently find a paid babysitting job for those key weekend evenings when you get back. Have a great trip. Enjoy yourself. You didn't make a decision to be a parent and be tied down by other people's choices. I don't think you're being an a-hole at all, OP. You said you've been planning this trip. You let everyone know, and now they have to figure out alternative means of childcare. Yeah, it won't be easy, but they also can't have the expectation that you're just going to be available to them whenever they need. You have a life, and it is your life. It's really none of their business whether you decide to travel or not. Update. Hey everyone. First off, I want to thank everyone that commented on my last post. It blew up, so I wanted to update real quickly. I wanted to answer a few questions. 1. Yes, I have a year's worth of savings. This means that I can pay for rent and other expenses for up to 1 year without a job. 2. I do plan on continuing to look for a new position and take interviews when I can. I hope that I can get a new one because in my state, I am unable to get a new apartment without proof of income at my age. 3. I only moved back in with my parents temporarily. It's been a month. I wanted to save money and not have an apartment. They are also storing all of my stuff. They are normally okay parents, but they play favorites. 4. I will not go no contact with my family, but maybe low contact. They are important to me, but I will take your advice to stop babysitting every Sunday for my niece. It's obviously been a bad habit for my sister and brother-in-law. On to the update. Today was my niece's birthday. It was a small get-together of my family and some friends, and it was a really good time. After the party, my sister pulled me aside. She apologized for getting my mom up in arms about the babysitting. She knew I wanted to go on the trip. We hugged and I accepted her apology. For your information, my mom and I don't really get along. I don't like how she treats people, and her favoritism has always caused some insecurity. Though she has helped me a lot, and I am grateful to her, I will always be the bratty youngest daughter, and I've come to accept that. Unfortunately, because of her, I have this people-pleasing behavior that I am trying to break out of. Hence the pure turmoil between choosing my trip over my niece. My mom is very controlling. The only reason I'm still in contact is because of my dad. He's my best friend. I would hate to leave him behind. He understands my problems with my mom. He hasn't tried to fix much. He doesn't know how. But he listens and takes my feelings also into account. It means the world to me. When my mom heard my sister complain, she decided it was going to be a good way to keep me home. She told the family about how a little girl shouldn't be traveling alone. She's mentioned the Natalie Holloway case, and that set a lot of people off. She watches a lot of Lifetime and Dateline. It's why everyone started hounding me in the first place. Then she added on my lack of a job and my other responsibilities, babysitting, so that everyone would agree that I shouldn't go. Now the big update is that I did choose my trip. In fact, I'm planning to extend. Maybe I'll travel more around Southeast Asia or go to Australia, since I will be over there. To be determined. But I also wanted to thank everyone for the advice and the good wishes. You all have made me feel so much more confident about this trip. Thanks again. Edit. My parents do babysit once a week as well, just during the weekdays since they are retired. Way to go, OP. You deserve it. I hope you make some great memories and have the best, most positive experiences. Stick to your guns. Do you think OP made the right choice by going on the trip? Let us know below. And lastly, a grandma gives up her hotline. Am I the a-hole for canceling my mother-in-law's phone plan so she can't let my nephew use it? Am I the a-hole here? Everyone around me says yes, but I feel super gaslighted by my husband's family right now. We're both late 20s, no kids. We added my mother-in-law to our cell plan a few years ago when we got married because she lives alone and didn't have a cell phone. My husband thinks it will keep her safer to have one for emergencies. At the time we added her, for her phone and plan, it was around $20 extra per month. Plan costs have gone up, and she got a nicer phone, so now it's closer to $50 a month. Pretty steep with the way the economy is, am I right? Anyway, my husband's brother has a young kid. He's 8. He's a nice kid, but not my responsibility. When I called my mother-in-law's cell phone a few days ago, my nephew answered. I asked him if he was at Grandma's house and if I could talk to her. He said no. He was at his house, and Grandma has given him her cell phone to keep because his parents wouldn't get him one. My mother-in-law didn't tell me or my husband about this, and I got pretty angry. I'm already not thrilled about paying for her to have a cell phone. I'm definitely not happy about paying for my 8-year-old nephew to have it. I went to her house and told her that if she wasn't going to use the phone, I was going to take it off our plan and that I wanted the iPhone back from nephew because my husband's screen is cracked and he can have hers. It will save us a few $100 since we won't have to buy a new one. Needless to say, she's mad now because it's her phone to do with as she pleases and she wants nephew to have it. I told her it's not her phone and we won't pay for it if he's using it. I told hubby I was canceling it, and then I did. I told him if she wants a phone again or wants nephew to have one, she can sign up for her own plan. He's mad that I did that. Mother-in-law is mad. Nephew and his parents are mad. But I did get the phone back since it's no longer working on our plan. So, am I the a-hole? I don't think I am. We'll have to make cuts where we can in this economy. Let's see what the community judges. Fork Shirt Up says, wait, the parents who wouldn't let their 8-year-old have a phone are mad? Shouldn't they be angry that your mother-in-law went over their heads, or is nephew not getting a phone for financial reasons? Edit to add, not the a-hole either way. Kronk Laswarda says, not the a-hole. The whole point was for mother-in-law to have it because she lives alone and might have an emergency. If she chooses not to keep it, then you don't have to pay for anything. WB Prepper says, not the a-hole at all. Cancel it. You bought it for specific purposes, to keep your mother-in-law safe. It is not serving that purpose, and canceling it is completely reasonable. I wouldn't say that you're the a-hole, OP. I think you created the plan with the intention that it would be your mother-in-law's for emergencies. Not only that, but it is in fact not your mother-in-law's to do with as she pleases if you are paying for the phone. Who knows what kind of extra expenses you might be getting roped into if your nephew is playing on it. What do you think? Thank you for joining us today on rLounge. Before you go, be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. If you have something you want to say regarding today's content, share that with us in the comments below.